Now we get to the king of rock and roll in class. And you can Google this. You'll be privileged to see in 1956 this copy of the king of rock and roll singing one of his first big hits called Hound Dog. I've always liked to use Elvis to start our examples of meiosis here. Okay, so here's what we have. Here's Elvis. Here's his lovely wife. I know you know all the names. This is Priscilla. And this is Lisa Marie, their one and only daughter. Okay? So how did Elvis and Priscilla make Lisa Marie? Well, to do that, first they had to make these kind of cells called gametes. Sperm cell for Elvis, egg cell for Lisa Marie, right? How many chromosomes does Elvis have in all his skin cells, his hair cells, his bone cells, his brain cells? He has 46, right? How much does Lisa Marie have? She's a human being, even though she looks like the bride of Frankenstein. She has 46, right? If they gave all their chromosomes to Lisa Marie, she'd have 92, and then that would they'd pile up too much. So clearly, obviously, logically, mathematically, what Elvis is going to give Lisa Marie is 23. And 23 from Priscilla, Lisa Marie will be a human being with 46 chromosomes in each one of her cells. So here now, that logic hopefully makes sense mathematically. All right, now this logic. If you reached your hand into one of Elvis's cells, and you could do this, right? If you could do this, and you pulled out any one of his chromosomes, it would be a certain length. And left in that cell, which now has 45, would be one and only one other chromosome that was just the same length. Now they're not identical, but they're similar. If you reached into that cell and you pulled out another chromosome, it would be a different length. And in that cell, there would be one other one that was the same length as that one, and only one. And likewise, Elvis's 46 total chromosomes would exist, you would find, in 23 pairs. Pairs that are the same size as each other, but not as any other. They're different sizes. This is some of the simplest wording that we have. We simply call the biggest pair number ones, second biggest pair number twos, number threes, number fours, number fives in decreasing size order. So in his cells, Elvis has two number ones, two number twos, two number threes, all the way to 23, right? So what do you figure Elvis gives to Lisa Marie? What do you figure his lovely bride, Priscilla, gives to Lisa Marie? Does Elvis give these two number ones and Lisa give those two number twos? Logic and the way it works would probably tell you this. No, what Lisa Marie is going to get is one of Elvis's number ones and one of his number twos and one of his number threes. And this is the key phrase of this whole unit and the whole next unit that we do. What parents give their kids is one of what they have a pair of. Elvis has 23 pairs of chromosomes, two number ones, two number twos, two number threes. What does he give Lisa Marie? One number one, one number two, one number three, one number four. Same with her. That way, Lisa Marie has two number ones, two number twos, two number threes. Where did Elvis get these two number ones from? He got one from his dad, Aaron would be his name, and one from his mom, whose name I can never remember, right? This should make pretty logical sense. And this is why kids look like kind of a mixture of their two parents. And we'll study more about how that works in terms of what traits you get in the whole next unit. That's what our whole next unit's about. But this rest of this unit is about the cell division process, where you start with a cell with 46 and you end up with cells with 23. In mitosis, you start with cells with 46 and you end up with two cells with 46, right? And they're identical. This gamete is obviously not going to be identical to the cell that you started with to divide to make it because it's only got half the number of chromosomes. Okay, so now, with that, all that being said, now we're going to look at the actual mechanics involved in producing a cell that has not just half the number of chromosomes as the parent cell that started, but these daughter cells are going to get a very particular half. They're going to get one of each kind, one of each type, one of each pair. One of each pair. Here's another word for that. Because they're similar, although they're not identical, we call this pair a word which we've got a prefix that we've used to mean the same before. These are called homologous pairs. This is a homologous pair of chromosomes. Okay? So that's what we have here, homologous chromosomes. How are they the same? Well, they're the same size. How else are they the same? Much more important. And I'm going to do that just a little bit here because that's more the whole next unit. Let's look at Elvis's eyes. He's got brown eyes. Okay? So those eyes are caused by a gene. Like we have said before, this eye color gene is a part of one of these chromosomes. Let's say it's on the number 1 chromosome. Let's say it's right here. It's used to make a piece of RNA, which is used to make a protein, which reflects light in a way that makes us say brown when we look at Elvis's eyes. But Elvis got 2 genes for eye color, one from mom, one from dad. And they were both on the same place in this number 1 chromosome. But this eye color gene he got from his other parent doesn't have to be a brown eye color gene. It might be a gene that makes a protein that reflects light to be looking blue. So he might have got a brown eye gene and a blue eye gene, and the way genes work we'll talk about next time. You've heard dominant recessive before. We'll save that for later. Elvis's eyes turn out to be that. But my point is, he's got 2 genes for eye color. Where are they? They're on one pair of homologous chromosomes. One's on one and one's on the other. When I say on, I mean actually physically a part of, right? And they're actually in the same place too. So that is much more importantly what homologous means. Homologous chromosomes have genes for the same trait, eye color, blood type, hair color, whatever, in the same place as their homologous partner. Okay, so that being said, here's the division process that makes that. Okay, so in asexual reproduction then, like that amoeba, splitting into 2 little baby amoebas, the little babies are identically the same genetically as the parent, because this process had replication happen first, so that these double-stranded chromosomes contain copies, and those copies were separated, and now these cells have just copies of each other. Well, that can be true of multicellular organisms too. Plenty of multicellular organisms reproduce asexually. They're made of a bunch of cells. Those cells undergo mitosis, and sometimes a group of those cells, like right here, will just kind of pop off, and there you have a new baby. Its cells have exactly the same genes as its parent did. All these cells were produced by mitosis. That's why they're identical. But now we have a new organism that's multicellular. Okay, back to meiosis, right? Where you have 2 parents that make kids that are different than them. And that's because the gametes that they make have only part of the chromosomes, only 23 if we're humans, right? And so the kid's getting a mixture of protein instructions from each parent. And that's why we have variety, right? That was in the red ink back there in the syllabus. Asexual reproduction involving just mitosis, no variety. Sexual reproduction involving meiosis, variety.